I hope you've seen the 20 plus videos that I've done in the past year and a half on Netlist, pursuit of Google, and now Samsung and Micron. And if you'll just Google Netlist versus Google, you'll see that I own that first search page on Google for that subject. We have now learned that there is a judgment against Samsung in Netlist's favor for roughly $303 million. And then we're expecting treble damages, which will bring that up to over $1 billion. So now it's just math, okay? We know that the judges have found that Google is in violation. We know that the same appears to be true with Micron. We know we've got U.S. cases and we've got German cases. So from this point on, it becomes math. What is based on the judgment that was just handed down? What is the math for figuring out what is going to be the judgment against Micron and Google? And then, more importantly, what is going to be the ongoing income for Samsung, Micron, and Google's use of Netlist intellectual property? Okay? So it's just math. So what I want to do in this video is share with you what I spent this weekend doing, and that is doing some research, coming up with a formula that gives me an understanding of how the jury came to award $303 million for Samsung, and then taking that same formula and applying it to the Micron case and the Google case. And what I think I can prove to you is that this is going to result in a sizable settlement, but more importantly, sizable annual income. And from that, we can ascertain what the profits per share will be, and then what the PE ratio will be, and then what the stock price will be. And so that will then give you and I, the retail investor, a goal, a point at which we say, that's fair value. And at that point, I got to make a decision. Am I in or am I out based on any additional information that I accumulate? But I know the fair price of the stock right now, based on the knowledge we have, is $102.71. I'll take you to my computer. As you know, I always use Excel spreadsheets, and I'll explain to how I came to that conclusion.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
This is the spreadsheet I've developed this weekend to analyze the settlement that Netlist received from the Samsung trial. What they were being sued for was illegal use of Samsung's intellectual property over an 18-month period of time. So I went to Seeking Alpha, and I found that Samsung's annual revenues for that period of time were $240 billion. Since it was 18 months, I multiplied it times 1.5 and came up with $360 billion. The 303 million judgment works out to be 0.084%. Okay? So I now know that the judgment, if you relate it to revenues, is 0.84. If you then treble it, treble damages, it comes out to $1.2 billion. Okay, so then what I did was I went and said, what is Micron's annual revenue? Now, I don't know what period of time they're dealing with. So I just left it at 1 year. And so we have an annual revenue of $30.7 billion. If we multiply that times 0.084%, that means their judgment will be 25 million. Yes. And with treble, it will be $103 million. Now I take that and I take it to Google's annual revenue. Now, Google's latest annual revenue was $282.8 billion. But there we're actually looking at damages over 13 years. So what I had to do was research back to 2010 and what was Google's revenue over that period of time, and it's $1.5 trillion. I then multiplied that times 0.084 to come up with the judgment. And so I believe the judgment, based on the judgment that was held from Samsung, will be $1.278 billion. If we give a treble to that, that comes up to $5,120,000,000. If I add those all up, I come up with a total judgment of all three cases of $6.4 billion. Okay? So that's what I think the judgments are going to be. But what I also know is these people are continuing to use Samsung's intellectual property. And that's where the payoff is. Trust me. So what I did then was say, okay, now let's look at what the royalties are going to be based, again, off of this 0.084%. And again, I went to Google's revenues. I multiplied them times 0.084, and I came out with Google is going to owe Netflix $237.5 million every year, as long as the judge says they have to. I don't know if it's 7 years, 10 years, forever. I don't know. But that's what Google's going to have to pay in cash to Netlist on an annual basis. Now, understand, this is all comes to the bottom line. They do not have to have any expenses against that. I then did the same thing for Micron and Samsung. I then took the judgments, which is, again, the 6.428, and I said they put them in treasury bills, and they are getting 4% for it. Again, there's no cost to creating this income. So that generates another $257 million. Add those four numbers up, and you come up with an annual income or revenue, expense-free, for Netlist of $722 million. Okay? So I then divided that by the outstanding shares, and it came up with a earnings per share of $3.07 per share. I then went up here and said, what is the PE ratio of Alphabet? What is the PE ratio of Micron? And what is the PE ratio of Samsung? Now, I have an issue because I think Samsung is a Korean company. And so I think that number is skewed for that reason. I don't know. So what I did was I took the Google's PE ratio of 23 and Micron's of 44, added them together, divided by 2, and I came up with that, with those numbers, that the new Netlist will have a PE ratio of 33.5. I then say, okay, based on that earnings per share and the 33.5, the price on Netlist will be $102.71. If they do nothing else, if they sell nothing and just turn into a company that collects royalties and treasury bills at 4%, their price is $102.71. That's their fair price based on the analysis that I did. Now, is this locked in stone? No, it is not. So then the next thing I wanted to say is, okay, if my price is 102, how am I going to get there? And who owns this stock? And what is the what is probably going to happen? So what I did, again, I went to Seeking Alpha, and I found that the number of shares held, the public shares, are 236.9 shares, and only 33,000 of them are owned by institutions. Individuals and insiders own 5.28 million, and you and I, the public, own 236.9 million, or 97.8% of this stock. So this is important. This is very important because it can give us some insight as to what's going to happen Monday. Okay? So what I then went to is Friday's volume. Friday's volume was 3.24 million. Now, you and I know that all happened in the last 15 minutes of trading, okay? Because their average volume is 1.1 million shares. So we got triple the volume, and we got it in the last 15 minutes. So what is Monday's volume going to be? Okay? This is where it gets kind of exciting. I believe it's going to blow that 3.4 out the door. Now, what you also got to ask yourself is, with that volume, we've got buyers and sellers coming together. And the sellers are you and I. We own 97.8% of this stock. And I'll ask you, based upon what you know today, what are you going to sell your stock for? If someone comes to you, and Friday it closed at 4, if somebody comes to you and says, I'll give you 8, are you going to take it? I don't think you are. I have been spending some time on this website. I want to show it to you. This is Stock Twits. I misspelled it in the other video. It's stocktwits.com/symbol/NLST. And this is a group of people. If you want to bring your knowledge up on this is a group of people, I don't know how many there are here, that are following. There it is. It's 21,713 people, I assume, that are on this page or part of this group. And they go into extreme detail of what they're doing and how long they've held the stock. And I'll tell you, these 21,000 people aren't going to be selling their stock anytime soon, based on the attitude that they have at this time. They have followed it. They believe, as I believe, that this is going to go to some extraordinary numbers. And so when Monday opens, who's going to sell and at what price? And is this going to turn into another AMC or another GameStop? I don't know, but it has all the makings, other than it, because it is a over-the-counter stock, there is no short interest. So there's going to be no short squeeze. But there is going to be a shortage of sellers. And as there is a shortage of sellers and there is an abundance of buyers, the price only has one way to go. And if the buyers believe, or the sellers believe, like I believe, that this stock is going to go to $102.71 or higher, there aren't going to be many sellers. And this stock's going to go up. So that's my take on it. I also want to encourage you to go to StockTwits and go to Reddit and get involved with this. This is exciting. This is an opportunity, and recognize this opportunity. There are not many stocks you can buy where you're in control. Okay? Wall Street's in control. The institutions are in control. Less than 0.1% are available to institutions because they're not allowed to trade on the over-the-counter market. We're in control, okay? Understand that. And what you are willing to give your stock up for is what it's worth. And your strength and belief in our legal system is behind this. You buy stocks based on fundamentals, future value, and emotion. And right now, if you got to put a percentage on it, I would say these few fundamentals, it's less than 1%. Future value, that's speculation, okay? So I'll give that somewhere in the neighborhood of a 50%, but the other 50% is totally emotional. So my advice to you is, dig into this, explore it, set a price at which, if it reaches that price, it's going to change my life. I watch on StockTwitch and I see some people who say they have 10,000 shares, or they had 10,000 and they added to it. This is going to change people's lives. But then at the same time, you got to know when to get out. And I'll do more work on that. What I want from you is, like this video, help me with my algorithm, help me build my audience, like it, subscribe to it, and then I want to do something a little bit different. We have a stock talk every Friday. I'm sure this is going to be our number one topic this Friday. I want to invite you to come. Now, normally to come, you have to be a member of our Patreon, which means you have to pay, I think it's $10 a month. But I want you to go into the description and I want you to find a link that says Stock Talk. And I'm going to ask for your email address. So Friday sometime, when Trent puts out the link for the Stock Talk on Zoom, I'm going to send you that link. So you can come, and that's kind of going to be kind of cool, that you people who have built a community will now be able to come, put your camera on, and meet each other. And maybe we can find a way that we can work together to do this again, and change our lives. I mean, I look at this and say, this isn't going to change my life, but it may make my children's and my grandchildren's lives better. Okay? Hope to see you on Friday. Hope this is helpful. Hope this opens your eyes to new possibilities. I'll talk to you again tomorrow, I'm quite sure.